For those of you that matched, congratulations. For those of you that did not match, keep your heads held high. You worked hard. In this video, we're going to talk about preparing yourself for residency. I'm going to talk about what people's thoughts are on getting yourself ready, and also I'm going to give you what my thoughts are in getting ready for residency and how you can prepare for residency. And then finally, at the end of the thing, I'm going to mention a book that I thought was valuable to me, at least when I was an intern, and I think it'll be valuable to you as well to look at. It's a very easy read, explains things decently, and it's something quick to help you along. If you were applying for family medicine and internal surgery, I don't know, anesthesia, I don't know, because I was a family medicine resident. Anyway, moving on. My name is Dr. Safwa Asante. I'm a successful IMG. I'm an urgent care physician working in the States. I make videos on a regular basis to help you guys match and to help you guys along your healthcare journey. I mentor people to help them get into residency, so if you need any help, send me a message and you can ask about my services. Residency. So you've matched now, you've completed the match, you've finished this hard journey, and now you're thinking about residency. One, you gotta start getting ready, thinking about where you're gonna live. You gotta start thinking about if you're gonna prepare yourself mentally and by reading things for residency. Now, there are two different trains of thoughts when it comes to preparing yourself for residency. Some people say, don't even think about it. Don't even think about preparing yourself for residency. And some say, prepare yourself for residency, absolutely. Most people say, don't waste your time preparing yourself for residency. And the reason is that what you learn in residency is so much. There's no way what you're going to learn from March, April, May, June, 4 months, it's going to get you knowing everything in residency. So why are you wasting your time? You're still going to be overwhelmed with the amount of material that you're going to be learning, the number of patients that you're going to see. It's still going to be overwhelming. Because people say that it's going to be overwhelming, they say don't even waste your time. Enjoy yourself. You have 4 months. You've worked very hard. Enjoy yourself. That's the first train of thought that people have. The second opinion that people have on preparing yourself for residency is to prepare yourself, absolutely. And the reason is that you want to just make your starting residency easy. You want to make sure that you hit the ground running. You want to make sure that you are able to do well and graduate. Because depending on the program that you go to, some programs are a little bit more nurturing than others. They will guide you a lot more than some other programs. Some programs, they're a little bit toxic. So if you're not doing too well, they start pushing you to the wayside. They don't really provide as much guidance as you need. So you always have to take things into your own hands and try to prepare yourself. Looking back at my life and looking back at residency, there are some things that I feel that you guys can do to make yourselves hit the ground running when you start residency. And these are broken down into skills and to basic knowledge of management in specific areas. The two skills that I think that you should know are, one, you got to be able to present patients. So you got to present patients in a way that you are able to get your points across. It's pretty straightforward. The second skill that I think that you should know is knowing the shorthand to document your labs. Because when you're seeing a lot of patients in the morning, you're going to be documenting some of your labs down on a piece of paper. You don't want to have to write down hemoglobin, white blood cells, hematocrit, platelets, sodium. There's a shorthand for the CBC, and there's also a shorthand for your BMP, which is your basic metabolic panel, or your CMP, your complete metabolic panel. At least the labs that you need. Just know those. It's very straightforward. It's not something that you have to spend a lot of time on, but at least I can practice them so that you remember them. Then in terms of topics that I think that you need to know are these topics. One, you should know how to evaluate tachycardia and manage tachycardia. You should know how to evaluate hypertension and manage hypertension. You should know how to evaluate and manage hypertension. You should also know how to evaluate and manage constipation, know how to evaluate and manage anxiety. Now, when you're a resident, you're on the floors, you're doing your thing, you're going to have a nurse come up to you and say that the patient's blood pressure is high, that the patient's blood pressure is low. Right? So you're going to speak to your senior, of course, but if you have some sort of idea as to what you want to do, it makes it a little bit easier and then you can start adding extra knowledge to the knowledge that you already have. A lot of times you get patients that can't sleep. What medication do you give them? Patients that have constipation. What do you do to evaluate them to make sure it's something not more serious that deserves a CT scan? So you look at that management and so on. If you prepare yourself on these things that I mentioned, starting residency will be a little bit easier for you. There's one book that I thought was wonderful, at least for me. I bought like 2 or 3 books, and there's one book that I like. Med Ed Intern Guide, I think it is. Med Ed Intern Guide. Get that book if you're doing internal medicine or family medicine. I think it would help you. But this Med Ed book will provide you guys some sort of guidance as to the way you should think about certain conditions when you are faced with those conditions, and what kind of medications you can give, what kind of imaging you should do, and labs and all that extra stuff. I thought it was a great book. Make sure you watch my most recent video and scroll to my channel and watch the other videos. That will be helpful for you. You can watch some of my videos on budgeting and studying and all that extra stuff. Dr. Southwest Santiago.